The moment Michael stepped into the attic, he felt something shift in the air. Not a sound, not a breeze, just a quiet pull, like the past calling his name. He had no intention of digging through old boxes that afternoon. He only went up there looking for a spare charger. That was all. But one corner of the attic had a stack of folders he didn't recognize. They were neatly labeled in Emily's handwriting. And one of them, one folder tucked between old photo albums, had his name on it. He froze. Michael and Emily had been married for 7 years. He thought he knew every story from her past. But this folder, he had never seen it before. He hesitated. He told himself it was probably nothing. Maybe just old cards or letters they exchanged when they were dating. Still, something tugged at him. He sat on the dusty floor and opened the folder. Inside was a printed email, just one, dated years before they ever met. It wasn't from him. It wasn't sent to him. It wasn't even about him. But Emily had kept it, folded, protected, never deleted. And the subject line made his stomach drop. Why I said yes. He stared at it, confused, uneasy. He knew he shouldn't read it. He also knew he was going to. Michael carefully unfolded the pages. The ink was slightly faded, but still clear. At the top was a message Emily had written to herself, a draft she never sent. He cleared his throat and began reading. The email started softly, almost like she was confessing something she never said aloud. She talked about her past relationship with a man named Brandon. Michael knew that name, but only in passing. Emily never shared details. She always brushed it off as something that ended for the best. But this email said otherwise. She wrote about heartbreak, about betrayal, about feeling small and unwanted. She wrote about how she didn't trust herself anymore, how every good thing felt like a trap. And then she mentioned Michael. Not romantically. Not at first. She described him as a safe person, someone who made her feel calm, someone who treated her with kindness when she felt like she didn't deserve it. Michael swallowed hard. A strange feeling tightened in his chest. He kept reading. Emily wrote that she didn't fall for him instantly. She didn't believe in instant anything anymore. Instead, she wrote that marrying him felt like choosing stability over chaos, kindness over excitement, hope over hurt. Michael didn't know how to feel. Warm, confused, sad, honored, afraid. He wasn't sure. He reached the last few lines of part 1 of her email, words she typed but never shared with anyone. She wrote, "I said yes because I needed someone who wouldn't break me. I said yes because he feels like peace, but I don't know if peace is the same as real love, and I don't know if he will ever know the truth." Michael's breath caught. He looked around the attic like someone might explain the meaning behind those words. The silence felt heavy. Was that why she married him? Because he was safe? Because he wasn't the man who hurt her? He tried to stand, but his legs felt weak. He sank back down and pressed the paper against his knee. A dozen questions swirled through his head. Too many. Too fast. Did she love him now? Did she love him then? Did he want to know the rest? He felt an ache he didn't expect, something quiet but sharp. He looked back at the email. There was more text on the next page, but he hadn't read it yet. His heart pounded. Some truths felt too heavy to read all at once. He took a slow breath and whispered to himself, almost afraid of his own voice. What else did she hide? And why did she keep this? The attic felt colder, smaller, almost like the walls were listening. Downstairs, he heard Emily's footsteps. She wasn't supposed to be home this early. Michael stared at the pages in his hand. Should he hide them? Should he ask her? Should he pretend he never saw anything? He didn't know. But he knew one thing. Everything felt different now. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more touching tales. Michael folded the email slowly, feeling his hands tremble. He had a choice to make before she walked through that door. And whichever choice he made, things would not stay the same. Michael tucked the email back into the folder just as Emily's footsteps reached the top of the stairs. His pulse spiked. He wasn't ready to talk. He wasn't ready to pretend either. Emily poked her head into the attic doorway. "There you are," she said. "I thought you were still out running errands." Her voice was warm, casual, the kind of tone that came from a normal afternoon, not one where her husband had just found a secret from her past. Michael forced a smile. "I was looking for a charger. Got distracted." She stepped inside, brushing dust off a beam as she passed. "This place makes me sneeze just looking at it." Michael nodded, keeping the folder angled away from her line of sight. He hoped she wouldn't notice his stiff posture or the tightness in his jaw. She didn't. She simply grabbed a small box of holiday lights and turned back toward the stairs. "Come down when you're done up here," she said. "I'll make tea." The moment she left, the quiet returned, heavy and sharp. Michael stared at the folder again. He should put it back. He should close it and walk away. He knew that. But his mind kept circling one thing. I don't know if peace is the same as real love. Was he just some soft landing after someone else broke her? Was their marriage built on comfort instead of passion? He wasn't angry with her. He was scared. He sat again and pulled out the second page of the email. Emily's words continued with a raw honesty he wasn't used to seeing from her. She wrote about how Brandon dismissed her dreams, how he laughed when she shared things she cared about, how she always felt like she wasn't enough, not exciting enough, not bold enough, not his type, even though he never said it in plain words. Michael felt a knot in his throat as he read. Emily had always been gentle, always kind, always careful with her feelings. Now he understood why. But then she described the first time she met Michael. She wrote about how he listened, really listened when she talked, how he remembered small details, how he never raised his voice, how he believed in her when she didn't believe in herself. She wrote that being with him made her feel safe, and that safety felt like something she hadn't known in years. Michael closed his eyes. He wanted to feel grateful, proud even. But instead, there was that same quiet pang. Safe? He read on. "I know he cares about me," she wrote. "I can feel it in everything he does. But I don't know if he loves me the way I wish someone would. And I don't know if I can love again the way I used to. Something in me still feels broken." Michael's chest tightened. He had no idea she ever felt this way. They talked about many things, but not this. Not the deep, painful corners of her heart. He took a slow breath. Then came a line that hit him harder than all the rest. "I'm afraid that one day he'll realize I chose him because he was the opposite of the man who hurt me. And I'm afraid he'll think that means I don't love him. But I do. I just love differently now." Michael felt like the floor shifted beneath him. He read the line again and again. "I just love differently now." He didn't know whether to feel relief or heartbreak. He sat there for several minutes, letting her words settle. Then he gently lowered the papers and pressed his palms to his face. Emily loved him, just not in the way he always imagined, not the way he wished she would.
Downstairs, he heard her open a drawer. A teaspoon clattered. The kettle clicked on.
A normal afternoon. A normal moment. But nothing felt normal anymore. Should he confront her? Should he confess what he found? Would she feel betrayed? Would she shut down? He didn't want to hurt her. He also didn't want to pretend everything was the same. He stood, dusted off his knees, and looked at the old email one last time. The words blurred slightly as he stared. He wasn't angry, just shaken. He lowered the pages back into the folder, closed it, and exhaled. Maybe he needed time. Maybe they both did. Michael made his way toward the attic stairs. Halfway down, he paused. In the kitchen, he heard Emily humming softly, something she always did when she felt at peace. The sound cut deep. How could she sound so calm while he felt like his world had tilted? He took a step, and another, until he reached the kitchen doorway. Emily looked up and smiled.
"Tea's almost ready."
Michael opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. Not yet. He wasn't ready. Michael sat at the kitchen table while Emily poured hot water into 2 mugs. Steam drifted up between them, soft and harmless, unlike the thoughts crowding his mind. She handed him a mug. Chamomile, his favorite, a small detail she always remembered. "Everything okay?" she asked, leaning against the counter. "Yeah, just dusty up there." Emily laughed lightly. "That attic hasn't been touched since we moved in." Michael nodded, but he wasn't really hearing her. His thoughts kept circling the email. Every word, every line, every confession she never meant for him to read. She slid into the seat across from him. "You sure you're all right?" she asked more softly. He looked at her, really looked. Her calm eyes, her gentle posture, the way she seemed so at ease, unaware of the storm brewing inside him. I'm fine. It was a lie. One she probably sensed, but she didn't push. Emily never pushed. She sipped her tea, then glanced at him with a small smile. "I was thinking, maybe tonight we can watch that old movie you love, the one with the time travel and the messy ending." He stared. She was trying. She always tried. That only made everything hurt a little more. He took a slow sip of tea, the warmth doing nothing for the cold coil in his stomach. "Maybe," he said quietly. Emily tilted her head. "You sound far away today." Michael knew he had to say something before the silence turned into questions he wasn't ready to answer. "I just have a lot on my mind," he murmured. "Work?" He shook his head. She waited. He couldn't tell her. Not yet. Until he understood how he felt. Not until he decided what the truth meant. Emily reached across the table and touched his hand. Soft. Careful. Her touch didn't feel like a stranger's. It felt familiar. Comforting, even. Maybe that was part of the pain. Her love was gentle. Not fierce. Not overwhelming. Not the kind he once imagined growing old with. But it was real. He knew that now. Different didn't mean absent. Still, the words from the email echoed. "I chose him because he wouldn't break me." He pulled his hand back, pretending to adjust his mug. Emily blinked at the sudden movement, but didn't comment. She never forced closeness. She only offered it. He stood. "I'm going to take a quick walk." Emily's brows drew together. "Now?" "I just need some air." She hesitated, then gave a small, supportive smile. "Okay, be safe." He grabbed his coat from the hook and stepped outside. The crisp evening air hit him instantly. Cool, grounding, almost sharp enough to clear his thoughts. He walked down the quiet street, past their neighbor's porch light, past the maple tree that always shed early in autumn, past the memories that lined the sidewalk. He thought back to when he first met Emily. How shy she was, how gently she laughed, how she avoided showing too much emotion too quickly. He never questioned it. He thought she was simply careful, maybe introverted. Now he knew better. She was protecting herself from a hurt she never fully healed. And she chose him because he felt safe. The wind rustled the leaves overhead as he slowed near the small park at the end of the block. He sat on the nearest bench. He closed his eyes and let the truth settle in. He loved Emily deeply, not out of pity, not out of obligation, out of genuine, hopeful love. But now he wasn't sure if their marriage started on equal ground. Did she grow to love him fully over time, or was he still a refuge she clung to? He rubbed his palms together, trying to gather courage. He had to talk to her. He knew that. Secrets like this didn't fade. They grew. They bloomed into distance and doubt. He needed answers, even if they scared him. He stood, brushed off his jacket, and stared back at their home glowing warmly at the end of the street. He took one step, then another. Slow, steady, deliberate. He was going to ask her. Not with anger, not with accusations, but with honesty. He reached the porch. He placed his hand on the doorknob. Then he froze. Inside, Emily's calm voice drifted through the door. She was talking to someone. On the phone. And her tone, soft, emotional, uncertain, sent a jolt straight through him. Because she said one name he never expected to hear again. Brandon. Michael's hand slipped off the doorknob. He stood frozen on the porch, the cool evening air suddenly feeling sharp against his skin. Inside, Emily's voice drifted through the thin crack beneath the door, soft but tense. He leaned in, not out of habit, but out of fear. "I don't know what to say," she murmured. "You shouldn't have reached out." A quiet breath. Then the name again, spoken almost reluctantly. "Brandon, this isn't a good time." Michael's stomach dropped. He stepped back from the door, heart pounding hard enough to feel in his throat. He didn't want to jump to conclusions, but after reading the email, hearing this name again felt like salt on an open wound. He pressed his back against the railing, trying to steady himself. "Inside," Emily went on. "No, I'm not angry, just surprised." Another long silence followed, broken only by the distant hum of a passing car. Michael strained to hear more, though part of him wished he didn't have to. Emily spoke again, her voice lower. "Why now? It's been so many years." Michael's hands curled into fists at his sides, not out of anger at her, but from the fear rising inside him. Fear of being the safe choice, fear of being the second option, fear of being replaceable. He swallowed hard. Emily continued, her tone somewhere between firm and uncertain. "I'm married, Brandon. Things are different. I'm not the same person anymore." Michael exhaled shakily. He didn't know whether those words brought him relief or more unease. Inside the house, Emily's voice wavered slightly. "No, I didn't keep anything from him because of you. It's not like that. I just moved on." Another pause. A long one this time. Then she said something that made Michael's chest tighten painfully. I care about him a lot. I don't want to hurt him. Michael closed his eyes. A soft thud sounded inside. Maybe she sat down. Maybe she was trembling. He couldn't tell. She sighed into the phone. Yes, I got your email years ago, but it doesn't matter anymore. Michael's brows pinched. Email? Which one? Had she replied? Was it connected to the old draft he found? His heartbeat quickened. Emily's next words were almost whispered. I didn't marry him because of you. Michael felt the railing dig into his spine. He wished that line eased him. It didn't. Not fully. But I also can't pretend you didn't shape who I became, she continued softly. He pressed a hand to his forehead. The ache spreading through him was quiet but deep. Emily's voice steadied. I forgave you a long time ago, but I'm not going backwards. I'm happy now, or at least trying to be. A faint murmur answered her on the phone. She responded almost immediately. No, you don't need to apologize again. That part of life is over. Michael let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. That part of life is over. Those were good words. Hopeful words. Words he wanted to believe. But doubt crept in anyway. If that part of life was over, why did her voice still tremble? Why hadn't she deleted the old email? Why did she keep a draft confessing feelings she never shared aloud? Michael stepped away from the porch and walked halfway down the front path. He needed space to think, to breathe, to understand. Behind him, the conversation inside softened until he couldn't hear it anymore. A moment later, the house grew quiet. Footsteps approached the door. Michael turned slowly as the front door opened. Emily stepped outside, her phone still in her hand, her expression unsettled. She didn't see him at first. Then her gaze drifted up and landed on him. She froze. Michael? She asked gently. You're back? He stared at her, searching her face for answers he couldn't put into words yet. Yeah, he murmured. Just got here. Her shoulders lowered with visible relief. Good, I was worried. She stepped closer, but something in him instinctively stiffened. Emily noticed. Her eyes softened with concern. Are you okay? She asked quietly. He swallowed. Who were you talking to? The question slipped out before he could stop it. Emily blinked. Slowly. Carefully. Then she answered. Brandon. Soft. Honest. Michael felt the ground tilt again. He nodded once. Too controlled. Too calm. Emily looked down, her thumb tightening around her phone. He reached out today. I didn't expect it. Michael waited. Still. Emily looked up, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. I didn't want to hide it from you, she said softly, but I also didn't want to worry you. She hesitated. There's something I probably should have told you a long time ago. Michael's breath caught. What? He asked. Emily took a slow, steadying breath. And then she said something he never saw coming. It's about why I really saved that old email and what I never told anyone. Emily stepped closer, though her movements were cautious, almost hesitant. The porch light cast a warm glow across her face, highlighting the conflict in her eyes. Michael's chest tightened. He braced himself. Whatever she was about to say, he knew it mattered. Emily took a breath. I didn't keep that old email because I was holding on to him, she said quietly. I kept it because I was holding on to who I used to be. Michael didn't understand at first. He waited. She looked down at her hands, twisting the edge of her sleeve between her fingers. When Brandon and I ended, she continued, I felt like someone had taken a piece of me I couldn't get back. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even heartbroken in the usual way. I just felt erased. Michael swallowed. Emily's voice grew softer. I kept that email draft because it reminded me of the moment I started choosing myself again. Not him, not anyone else. Me. Michael blinked. You wrote it? For you? She nodded slowly. It wasn't about what I felt for him or for you. It was about proving to myself that I could still be honest, even if no one ever saw the words. She looked up at him then, her gaze steadier. I wrote that I said yes because you felt like peace. That part was true, but peace wasn't the only thing. It was just the first thing I noticed. Michael felt something shift inside him. Something small but meaningful. Emily stepped closer. When I met you, I realized I didn't need dramatic love to feel safe again. But over time, it became something deeper, something steady but strong. She paused. I didn't know how to put that into words back then. Michael took a slow breath. Hope, faint but real, stirred in his chest. But why didn't you delete it? He asked. Her eyes softened. Because I didn't want to forget how far I'd come. That email showed the version of me that was still unsure, still scared, still healing. Keeping it wasn't about holding on to the past. It was about not repeating it. She hesitated. Then she added, I should have told you. I know that now. Michael looked away, struggling to steady the whirl of emotion inside him. And the phone call? He asked. Emily's expression darkened for a moment, not with guilt, but with frustration towards something she wished never resurfaced. He reached out today, she said. He said he wanted closure, that he's been thinking about the past and regretting things. She shook her head. But that's his journey, not mine. I'm not interested in reopening that chapter. Then why did you sound emotional? The question came out quieter than he expected. Emily exhaled. Because it threw me off. Because hearing his voice reminded me of someone I don't want to be again. Not because I miss him, not because I feel anything for him. She stepped closer. Just because it startled an old wound I thought had fully healed. Michael's pulse eased a bit. Emily reached out and lightly touched his sleeve. I didn't marry you because you were safe, she said softly. I married you because, for the first time in a long time, I felt like I could grow with someone, not shrink. Her words hit him with a warmth he didn't expect. And the part you read in that draft, she continued, voice steady, it was written from fear. Fear that I couldn't love the way I used to. Fear that you deserved someone more whole than I felt at the time. Michael looked at her. And now? He asked. Emily didn't hesitate. Now I love you in a way that's real. Maybe quieter than the movies, maybe slower than the stories, but it's mine, and it's yours, and it's stronger than anything I've known. The tension in Michael's chest loosened. He stepped closer, finally meeting her gaze fully. I just needed to know, he said softly. I needed to hear it from you. She nodded. I should have said it long ago. A quiet moment settled between them. Warm, honest, steady. Emily took his hand, carefully, gently, and this time he didn't pull away. He squeezed back, grounding himself in the reality of her touch. How about we go inside? She whispered. There's more we should talk about, but maybe together. Michael nodded. They stepped into the house side by side. Not perfectly aligned, but trying, choosing, healing. As the door closed behind them, the old email remained in the attic, no longer a secret, no longer a question, just a marker of how far they had come. And for the first time all day, Michael felt something real settle inside him. Not doubt, not fear, peace, and love, quiet, steady, and growing.